Previous videos we've shown how you can edit field values in a form control by using an editor. So you can see that we have our data source, which is a list. We have a form over here, and when I tap on a field in the form, basically the value in the form is displayed in the editor, where I can go here and edit the value. So in this case, for both first name, last name, and city, the editor is just a text box where the user types in a value. But editors can be any type of control. And so here you can see that for the state control, we'd like to use a drop-down box as an editor. So when I tap on state, you can see that now we're editing using a drop-down box, and the choices in this field are populated. And we can change, for example, from New York to Massachusetts, hit the save button there, and then hit the save button there, and then the data in the data source has been updated. So in this video, we're going to demonstrate how you can basically create your own editor using a drop-down box control, and how this editor would be populated with the appropriate choices. Because remember that this editor over here is a shared editor, so this drop-down box could be populated in one case with a list of states, in another case with a list of cities, etc. So the choices need to be dynamically updated. So let's now go back and actually add a brand new editor and then convert that into a drop-down box editor. So I'm going to go back to my editor set over here, and then I'm going to go and add in a new editor, and I'll start off with just a standard text box. So here we go. Editor number 3 now is just a text box editor, and now I'm going to go back to my form and then go to the state field and change the editor from editor 2, which is a drop-down box, to editor 3, which is currently just a regular edit control. So now if I go here and I run the form, click on the first row, and then click on Massachusetts, you can see now we're back to just editing in a standard edit control. So I could go there and type in CA and then hit the save button, and there you can see we've basically made a change. But we're now using a standard input control and not a drop-down box. So now let's go back to our form, go to editor number 3, and change this control here from an input control, from a text box, into a drop-down box. So there we go. We now have a drop-down box. And we're not going to go to define the choices here, because remember that this is a shared editor. Several different fields, each of which have their own set of choices, could be using this particular editor. So I don't want to put the choices into the control definition right now. So now let's go ahead and run it, and you'll see that it's not going to work very well, because when I click on Massachusetts, I do get a drop-down box, but there are no choices in this drop-down box. So what we need to do is, at the same time that this editor is populated with the current field value here, we also need to set the choices in the drop-down box. So let's go back now to the form and go over to the field tab, and here's the state control. And what we want to do is define the choices that are going to be shown in the drop-down box. So we're going to go here to user-defined editor and template settings, and we're going to basically create a setting. The name of the setting is arbitrary. I've just chosen choices, and then when we edit this, you can see what we have in settings is a JSON object, which in this case is just an array of choices. So I've got Massachusetts, California, New York, and let's go maybe and add another choice. So I'll go here and type in Illinois. So now we basically defined a settings object, and this object, settings choices, is going to be available to us when the editor is populated. So now we can go to the editor itself, and on this editor there you can see there's a show editor event, and we're going to use this event to populate the choices in the drop-down box. I'm going to just quickly go back to editor number 2, which is working, and just steal the code. So I'm going to go here and then just steal this code and copy it to the clipboard, and then go back to editor number 3 and go to the show event over here, and at the top of this event I'm going to just paste in this code. So recall that we put the choices for the drop-down box in a user. So we're continuing our video now describing how you can create a user-defined editor that uses a drop-down box as the edit control, and then how you can dynamically populate the drop-down box with choices that are defined in the form control itself. So recall that when we edited the form control, we created a user-defined setting called choices, and that had an array of choices to populate the drop-down box with. So what we're doing over here is reading the choices out of the settings object. So the settings object gets passed into all of these events, and we're basically saying that if choices is not undefined, then we're using the built-in method of the UX component called populate drop-down box, and the control name of our drop-down box is editor underbar 2 text box. The choices are here. Basically this is the list of choices, and we've basically said clear out any existing choices in the drop-down box. So this is the code that dynamically populates the choices in the drop-down box. Now we can go here and then go over to working preview, click on Massachusetts, and then you can see basically, oops, we did something wrong. So let's go back now and check to see why this is not working correctly. So let's take a look at our show editor event, and here's the error. You can see that we just copied and pasted code, but this control is not editor underbar 2, it's editor underbar 3. So let's go ahead now, click the OK button and give it another test. So I go over here now, click on the first row, click on Massachusetts, and you can see there are our choices. If we hit the save button there and then save, we've edited that value. Now we'll go over to, say, California, click on the drop down, and you can see now that the drop down has been populated. So what we've shown over here is we've created now a generic editor that uses a drop down box as the edit control, but the choices for this drop down box are defined in the form properties. So basically here's our form properties, and over here we've basically gone to this form properties, and we've created a user-defined property called choices, which is an array of choices. So now, having done this, we can very easily go, for example, to the city field here, define default value, define choices here, and then use the drop-down box editor for the city control as well. So instead of basically using editor number 1, we could switch here to editor number 3, define some choices over here for in the user-defined settings property, and then basically use the same editor, which is the drop-down box, for both the city field and also the state field. So once again, we're showing over here how a single editor can be configured to edit multiple different values in the form. Thanks very much for watching. In a previous video, we showed how you can use a drop-down box as an editor for a field in a form control. In this video, we'll show how you can configure the drop-down box editor to display different display values and stored values for the drop-down box. So you can see now when I tap on the state field here, the drop-down box says Massachusetts as opposed to just MA. If I click on, say, New York over there and then hit the save button, the value here gets updated with the stored value as opposed to the display value. So if we go back to the form control and look how the choices for that drop-down box were configured, you can see here that there's the state control. Here's our user-defined editor settings. And if we look at our settings, you can see we now have an array of arrays, and each item in the array is itself an array with the display value followed by the stored value. So the array of arrays is used to populate the editor. So here's the editor, and if we go here and we look at the populate drop-down box, this method takes either an array of values or an array of arrays, which is what we're using in this particular case here. Thanks very much.